Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. Thank you guys for joining us. Wow, I tell you guys, we're experiencing some incredible winds over here. Although, Cindy is used to the winds that you get out in the West, in California, Nevada, and other areas out here. But for what I've experienced, it's insane. The winds are so intense. It's just incredible right now.
It is. It's quite windy. It's a little ominous though. That's what I don't like about it. And I saw on the maps there's fires, not super far from us. And even though there's not a lot to burn in the desert, houses around here are still surrounded by trees. And if little ambers were to get in those trees, that could cause some problems.
Most definitely. And I don't know if we shared it ever with you before, but you had a dream before of basically, we think it was probably a volcano that happened, and we are pretty close to Ridgecrest, honestly. But do you want to share your dream?
So I had this dream, and I was here in my little town, and I looked up, and there were these tubes of smoke, and around these tubes of smoke was fire. So it's like the fire outlined the tubes of smoke, and I was giving people instructions on what to do. I was quite calm, and I was just telling people, okay, go over to your yard, get your hoses, and this is, you're going to spray everything down. And considering how big the tubes were and the fire and everything, I was really calm, but that's all we had to do. And I think that was like a year ago, maybe. And now that the fires are close, like if we had ambers coming over here to land in people's yards, that would be bad.
Most definitely. And what we're seeing out there is just incredible. So, taking a look. Let's see, let's go over here. We'll start over here at Strange Sounds. Winds top an amazing 93 miles an hour in fire zone. And, as I was saying, last night they just kicked up in the middle of the night. And, at first I thought, oh, somebody's trying to get in the house again, or somebody is in the house. But Zeke didn't bark, and Sassy didn't bark. So I went out and checked it out. It was just simply the winds. The winds were incredible. Knocking things over and just blowing things around like insane. It did feel, and I've been in hurricanes before. It reminded me really of when you're in a hurricane. The winds are so intense. So we see here Governor Gavin Newsom declares statewide emergency. The highly anticipated Diablo winds roared through wine country and parts of the Bay Area early Sunday, prompting Governor Gavin Newsom to declare a statewide emergency. 93 miles an hour in the hills north of Healdsburg, one of the handful of towns now threatened by the Kincaid fire. Always kills me to see all this people's beautiful houses, their lives going up in flames. You could hopefully always collect on insurance, and that's a totally different issue. But you got things that really mean something to you. It's the mementos and things you just can't replace. And to watch it all burn down, it's just so sad. So you have gusts overnight at 87 miles an hour, Mount St. Helena, 61 miles an hour at Mount Diablo. Incredible what we're seeing. Tremendous winds all over. Obviously, more tremendous destruction going on. And, at times the winds feel like there's a giant out there just slapping the house. It's just like boom, boom, boom. Kincaid fire grew overnight by more than 4,000 acres, now spreading across a total of 30,000 acres. So, statewide emergency in effect. And there's video. I have all links for you guys. This is out of Live Sky 7. You have I-80 closed. There's sections of I-5 closed. As you see here, this is off of Twitter. Kincaid fire is well established in the Foothill Regional Park and will impact homes in 30 to 60 minutes. If you have not evacuated, do so immediately. I think people take this a little bit more seriously now. Same thing with, after what we've seen with the hurricanes and stuff, it's just like, I think people understand now things are not the same. They're just not the same as they were in the past.
No, and I saw someone here said that they were canceling insurance coverage. And I know that if you follow the money, I think the old saying is all roads lead to Rome. And if you follow the money, we'll definitely find out a little bit more as to what's going on. And I just have this sneaky feeling that it's almost a setup for 5G. They're making a case for 5G. And because of, and also the damage 5G can cause, that'll send people straight to the doctor because their DNA is getting torn open, and they won't know what's going on. So I'm just watching this, and I have this just underlying nauseating feeling about all these fires, because shutting off the electricity was supposed to stop this. That was their whole point, and it didn't stop anything.
No, not at all. And when we have talked in the past about Agenda 21, and all that, you got to wonder. I mean, is part of this going to be herding people into mega cities? Do you guys think that's part of this? I've seen where fires were before, and then a proposed rail system going in. I keep going back. Everything just takes me back to, the Sumerian epics and us being basically too much of a nuisance to Enlil, and the whole flood thing. Is there just simply, how many times do we get to the point where we rise into a very a higher technical area, and there's so many of us, and something happens, and then all of a sudden there isn't so many of us anymore, and we're back in the Stone Age. If you, follow my line of thinking there. Now, whether we think the powers that be are human, non-human, interdimensional, Draco-reptilians, Illuminati, leftover survivors from Atlantis and Lemuria, actual humans that just simply have way more technology because they've gone underground and survived this, so they've maintained their technology. Whatever we think, we understand, it's the haves and the have-nots. It's the masses and the tiny little elite that run everything. NW Nature Lady says it's the beginning of depopulation. Sure feels like that in so many ways, and we talked about how if you look at fertility rates, they're dropping like a rock, just dropping like a rock completely. So, and of course we've had that infamous statement by the owner of Microsoft, which I know they don't want us repeating that, but if they do a good job with the V word and other things, the population can reduce by so and so much. So, I think that you're onto something there, NW Nature Lady, and I think that many of us are in agreement with this. You guys are talking about Orgonite too, and the last place when I was up in North Carolina in the mountains, it had a smart meter, and so I actually put Orgonite like right on it and around it. Not sure if it really helped or not. I mean, some people believe it will help. I'm not sure. I really didn't personally notice much of a difference myself, although some people say they really, really have.
Yeah, I've looked into Orgonite, and it is supposed to, I'm not sure exactly how it works, the technology, but there is some extensive study behind it, and I totally believe in it. I think that would be a good idea. There's other things we can do to help 5G. Part of it, I think we're going to have to find a way to fight back, and Orgonite might be one of our biggest friends if we learn a little more about it. And I was remembering last year with these fires how I saw the pictures of the cars that were completely charred, and I don't know at what degree this what the degrees need to be for that to happen. But that was really
way higher than what we get with a natural wildfire. So, and then also just all those photos that I don't think were photoshopped, that they showed that, really close to where the houses were just taken down to foundation and cars melted. You got trees that are fine and they were unaffected. So, I don't think those are all photoshopped. I don't think that those are all photos that people were doctoring to make the case that it's something more than a wildfire.
And then the frustrating part is, even if you can prove that something isn't right with this picture, who can you tell? Because it's like the wolf being in charge of the chicken house. You're going to tell somebody, hey, look at this. They're not going to care. It's all about the money. And I just feel so sad for all these people. So my energy is a little on the anxious side today. And I really do feel like people are having such a hard time over there right now. They're losing their livelihoods. They're losing everything. And I just don't think that it's necessary.
Free Flow for Love just shared that they lost everything in a house fire. So I just want to send out our condolences and our love and prayers, and hope that you guys are taken care of and in a safe place now. It is definitely a very, very difficult thing to go through.
It is, and so I'm so sorry to hear that, and I'm sending energy out to you right now. I hope that helps a little bit. And someone also mentioned here about the plasma lightning. And I've heard some about that too. That's a very curious topic about how the plasma works in certain areas of the planet, depending on what kind of rock you're on, can be, you can actually attract that kind of plasma lightning, which I don't know how much of that I believe, but I think all of it deserves, some kind of mention.
Most definitely. Well, okay, I'm glad that you are safe now, and that's a whole other topic that you bring up on who set the fire, child predators. That's sad. It's a horrible situation. Keith, I was just thinking about what you had sent me as well. I did start to research it. So Keith sent a patent on basically a space-based satellite that could be used like a laser, and coincidentally, it was filed under PG&E. So you gotta wonder about that, right? I mean, that's what we've talked about. There's a lot of other lines of thoughts as well. I mean, some people have brought up the volcano thing, and it could be that we have a lot of things going on at the same time, and most definitely. Now there is, the possibility that maybe there are, volcanic origins to some of these fires as well. Maybe they're trying to cover that up as well. That could be a possibility. And, that made me think of Cindy's dream before. And, as I shared with you, she's very, very intuitive. And she has, since a little girl, she's basically been like the sixth sense, where she could see dead people, and her daughter is same thing, and her daughter still does see all that. So I think that that's part of the DNA, and I've shared with you guys too, not to get off topic, but since I was 7, I have felt that I've had like abduction type experiences, and I'm Rh negative, and the last time I had anything like that kind of happen was December 2017. And it didn't work out the way they thought it was going to, because I awoke in the middle of it and they took off. But Cindy also has gone through that her whole life with the same sort of experiences. And we actually feel like we were brought together, honestly, from above, from the sources, the benevolent sources that are up there trying to help us and trying to wake people up to everything that's going on, because there's a lot of stuff going on, and this is deep. This is really deep. Not to jump off topic, but we know there are those deep underground military bases, and I completely believe they're manned by both human and non-human entities, And I just think there's just so much info about that throughout our history and our legends, as we've talked about so many Native American people, including the Cherokee over in the east and over, in the west here, the Hopi. They talk about the reptilians openly and other beings as well. And it is most definitely a tangled mess too, because I think that there's so much disinfo out there. Again, it only takes like 5% disinfo to just change the way you look at something. So there's so much of that going on out there as well. And I see that, there's comments about smelling like smoke all the time in LA. Yeah, definitely. I mean, we could look at some more of this over on Twitter. You see here this map, extremely critical, elevated. This is almost the entire state. I mean, this is huge, what we're seeing right now. It's really huge. And, as Cindy was saying, you thought that these rolling blackouts were supposed to, stop these things or alleviate it somewhat. Well, not even close. And look at this. Can you imagine breathing this in? Look at the color. It's just incredible.
It looks like an orange, I don't know, I think cyanide comes to mind, like an orange color. It looks really scary. And yeah, I see Free Flow for Love here. She's saying, to pray for rain, and absolutely agree with that. And one thing that came to me is, as we are praying for rain, maybe send energy in to heal that water. So as it does come down on the planet, it will heal our mother too. So yeah, this is pretty bad. I knew that there's always fires every year in California, but when Michael was showing the map there, that's a little bit crazy. That's like a lot crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's insane. And, one of the comments out there, no more fire insurance, so they'll never be able to rebuild. That's a big statement, and it's the same thing with the hurricane insurance. Okay, so, look over at South Carolina, North Carolina coast, eventually parts of Florida too. And, on the Gulf Coast as well, Alabama, Mississippi, and Texas, Louisiana. Maybe this is part of the great herding. Maybe this is how you herd animals into a cage, by all these different means. I got to share with you guys, my opinion has changed so much over time, as far as to what's causing all these things. I think we all wanted to believe that it's just a scientific thing. This is all big cycles. I don't dismiss. I'm not saying that there's not a grand solar minimum. Obviously there is, and we are in a pole shift, a pole reversal, magnetic pole reversal at least. But I think there's more and more of us that have come to the realization that so many things can be controlled and manipulated. It really does. And it's feeling awful suspicious at the way things are going. And open-minded, I think, that's what we're talking about. And you were just watching a video, a pretty damn scary video. It was posted on one of the Facebook groups.
Oh my gosh, yeah, this robot, I had it on my Facebook, this robot, an AI, looks like one of those things from DARPA. Someone handed it a gun, and it went and hit its target, and then it goes for the next target, and a guy walks up and just hits it with a stick, and it shook, but it still hit its target. Another guy comes up, he kicked it and knocks it down, gets up. The robot shoots again, it hit its target. And I'm looking at them because I can't look at something get knocked down and not feel bad, even though it is a robot. And it makes you wonder about AI and consciousness. And I know we have a spirit, we have the true consciousness, but it's just not right. It's not good karma to do that. And I understand the underlying point. They're showing that this thing, no matter what you do to it, it's going to hit its target. It's just really so disturbing on so many levels.
Well, I think what they're doing is, again, so if you have the 99.5% of the people that they view as, sheeple, the masses and etc., at some point in time, enough people are going to wake up and I've brought this up before, what does it take to stop all this? What does it take to stop the control? Well, you got to actually have people in the military and the police forces recognizing the bigger picture and saying, oh, I'm not going to enforce the will of the powers that be anymore. I understand that we're being manipulated. I understand that these wars are all about land grabs, resource grabs, consolidating natural resources, consolidating power. That's what it's all about. But what we're seeing now is that we're getting to that point where they're just showing us some of this technology. They're showing us these Terminator robots. Didn't that thing look like something out of Terminator?
It did. And I saw someone here says that that particular video was fake. But even if that one was fake, I've seen a lot of them on DARPA, and those things, oh my gosh, they look so real, and it just disturbs me to the bone.
Most definitely. So what I think that and I shared with you guys that we saw those gigantic helicopterish things, and I mean they were massive, and they were not like anything I've ever seen, and they flew at maybe about 400 feet over the house.
Yeah, and they had propellers that were like horizontal. That's what made them weird.
Almost reminded me of an insect's wings, which actually reminded me of some prophecy that I can't remember, but it talked about that type of thing. Exactly. It just clicked. So what I'm getting at is that we're getting to the point where they're already showing us the technology that's out there. How are we going to stand up to that type of technology when you have satellites in space that could pinpoint any one little area and just zap it? You'll never see it coming. So we are entering a very, very much like a Terminator type situation here. And it's pretty wild. We're going to get to that point, if we don't make change now. And maybe it's already too late, as far as that goes, as far as the technology. But they'll have the technology where even if every single human soldier and police officer jumped ship and said, hey, we're not going along with any of this anymore, then they're going to roll out that. And that is, I think, the end game. People, I brought up the Georgia Guidestones, right? Is that being manifested now? Is that part of it?
I think this is just really important to learn to go within. I had a dream, and I was walking through this corridor through a maze, and I kept hearing someone saying, there's another way out, there's another way out. And I can just imagine, the way out of this is to really go deep within. I feel it. We're going to have to go in and soul search and find the answers within ourselves, and this is going to lead us to better health, being better people. So yeah, if we do take these catastrophes and think, well, what can we do with it? What's the positive? There's always a positive.
So, I mean, just a quick search for DARPA robots. These are not all fake. These are real. And, it's right there. You can see it. It's all right there. So is there already armies of these things waiting to be used? I'll share with you guys that I had a series of dreams that showed the same thing, and this is going way back. It's going back to like 87, where I saw these kind of like eyes in the sky that were just watching everybody. They were just hovering there, and this is like 87, right? So there wasn't really any drones, so I didn't understand what it was. But they were just, around intersections and watching everybody walking. And now I understand. I think that dream was showing me what's coming. And the fact that we're going to have drones monitoring our every move. They're going to be watching us all the time. And so this looks like part of that video we were watching. Right here, because they were hitting them with sticks and things like that, and it still was shooting and not missing a beat. It was so accurate. So these things are real, and more than likely they're in mass production, and more than likely there's way more advanced ones than the ones we're seeing here.
Yeah, there's always more advanced. They show us what they want to show us, and that's, done very deliberately. Yeah, these things are really creepy. And not just the robots, they have the vehicles now, they have these snake like things. So, um, it's just something to pay attention to. And again, always going within, always trying to use any kind of trauma or something to find the higher purpose. And that alone will raise our consciousness. And I think so. It's just about reminding each other, what's the bigger purpose? What's the bigger purpose? And it's all about us just being a better people, really.
Yeah, and we have these exoskeletons. So like everything, as somebody made the comment there too, it's like everything you see in the movies they already have, and that's true. And part of it also is that when you look at it, the movies are controlled. I mean, again, Hollywood is just another arm of this control system. So again, are they trying to seed these thoughts in our collective? Do they have to disclose to us? And many people have brought that up, that they kind of have to disclose to us things because it is a free will universe. And yet, do we realize that they're disclosing truth to us when it's coming through a Hollywood story?
Like someone else mentioned Westworld in here. And, karmically, yeah, it's my understanding they're supposed to tell us what's going to happen. And it could be coming through movies like Westworld, which really hit me so deep and just made things make so much sense because, they have the robots and they live their lives over and over and over, just like we supposedly do. We live our lives over and over and over, and we have different storylines. And then just above them are the gods, which are humans. And it just makes me wonder, like, what level am I at? Am I one of the robots? And what kind of a being do I live and work under? But what's most important, what I got out of that movie, is that I can reprogram my brain. Absolutely. Because it's taken a lot of years to program and get me where I'm at. Now that I have the information and the knowledge, I'm starting to reprogram myself, and it's working. And it makes me wonder, like, how much of an AI, I don't know. We're in these excellent meat suits that are really quite miraculous, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's all pretty wild. Pete brings up They Live, the movie They Live. I gotta share with you guys. You might have heard me say it before, but I met Rowdy Piper in the Hard Rock Cafe up in Toronto right after he made that movie, and he was a great guy. Actually, in person, he was a lot of fun. Just kind of bumped into him and, just started talking, and he was so personable, and he actually bought us beer, and he shared about the movie, and he said, "You got to watch this movie." He said, "You know what?" He said, "It's based on truth." And he's like, I believe this. He really did believe it was based on truth. And he was a great guy. And, we talked for about 40 minutes, I would say. And it was super cool. And that movie is a classic. It really is. It's a cult classic. But again, it's kind of giving us some truth.
Yeah, it is. And also, Janet here says, and they can reprogram your brain with what you eat and their nanotechnology. I've had a really difficult time being so sensitive, and I've noticed as I changed my diet and I've gotten rid of all the processed foods, and I know even the organic and stuff probably has the nanobots, but right now it's a matter of choosing the lesser of two evils. So I just keep trying to follow that road, and it's really helped my my circuitry kind of settle down and work properly. I think I have a whole lot of energy, and then the circuitry is still a little bit broken, which can cause a lot of anxiety. But since I've been eating the organics and foods like that, I'm getting better and better and better. So I lost my driver's license not very long ago, and I had my picture taken about a year ago, And I had to have my picture taken again because I had to go back to the DMV and go through all that fun stuff. And I swear, I feel like I looked like 5 years younger since I've been eating no processed foods, no sugar, none of that. And I think that's so important to in our reprogramming is our diet.
Yeah, it's extremely important, and then we shared with you guys too that we're constantly doing cleansing. I think we have to cleanse all the time. So it's what time is it here? It's 3 o'clock here. Yeah, it's just a matter of course. Yeah, we're on Pacific time, so we haven't eaten anything yet today. We're just so used to intermittent fasting. It's like no big deal. I think we ate last, what was it, maybe 7? Did we have something last night? Something around 7 o'clock last night was the last time we ate anything. So we just got used to it. It's just so easy. And you know what? I kind of feel like I feel great in the freaking mornings. I feel good all the time now. And this lifestyle is really growing on me. It's growing on me tremendously. And I'm on like a high every morning. Honestly, I just feel so clear and so focused. And honestly, now I'm getting stronger and stronger again because we've been lifting and working out pretty hard. We do all sorts of weightlifting. We were doing some Olympic lifts. I was showing her clean and jerk and snatch and just trying to keep our core strong, keep our bodies strong. But then we also do QiGong, and we also do meditation and mantras, and then we train MMA style too, just because I always liked martial arts. So training her some self-defense. Cindy's been through a lot. We're not going to talk about things in detail, but self-defense is really good for all the ladies to learn, and it's critical. It really is. And she feels empowered now because I'll tell you, she has a rear leg roundhouse kick that could really hurt somebody.
It's so therapeutic to be able to hit something with I don't know, it just feels better. Like nobody's ever going to hurt me again. Oh no. I might come out with a bruise or a scratch, but I guarantee you check him out and he's going to be in an ambulance. So it is a lot of fun. And also people here, they say they're eating 1 meal a day, which is, fasting turns out it's so good for us. And what it also does is our stomach puts out these little transmitters, and talks to our brain to release the norepinephrine, the dopamine, the serotonin. And as certain hours go by, and we have a chart somewhere. If we go to Mindy Pell's website, she has a chart like how many hours you go in. Depends on what your body is releasing and what it's shedding and what it's doing. And I just think the most fascinating part is about how it's so correlated to the brain and helping our circuitry run even clearer.
So Ascending Starseed just tuned in. Nothing happening here. Title is deceptive. Well, we tend to jump all over the place. So, we started out covering the fires, and we've jumped into what you guys are talking about. So what we see you guys talking about, we respond to, and then we go ahead and cover that and talk about those things. I think that's the beauty of live is that, we could just kind of we could go off in tangents as you guys are talking about stuff and cover that as well, So like yesterday we talked for about an hour and 40 minutes. I was really intending to be there about 45, 50 minutes. It just depends on what's going on. So we want to cover everything, and we'll jump back into the California fires and the other things as well. But at the same time, we're going to cover what everybody is talking about, and there's so much to cover. We flow, yes, like he says, we flow. Sometimes it's really surprising to me when some people will say things like that so quickly and just judge so quickly. But it to each their own. It's you can't let anything bother you, and I won't. I don't. It's just in one ear, out the other. I always want to make the masses happy, and I always want to just get as much info across as possible because that is so critical in these times.
And I think it's really important, like we come on about the fires, and to have a solution, not so much focus on the problem, but focus on the solution. And one way is to go within. It is to get healthy, to bypass the system. If we're eating right and we're healthy, and, if we learn something new, we want to get on here and talk to you guys about it and let you guys know, hey, this could be a way to help you maybe get off of a certain medication. But I'm not telling you to stop taking any medicine. I'm saying I was on a lot of medicine, and I started looking into alternative therapies, like I did an herbology course, and a lot of spiritual work. And I was able to slowly start replacing the prescriptions that I was on to plant medicine. So now everything with me is plant medicine. If I can grow it, I can have it. That seems to me that feels very safe and empowering.
So Elena said this is family chat, and I love that because it is, and it's great to see all you guys there. And as Stack was just saying, I think the majority of us here agree with you, my friend. Definitely. I don't see how we couldn't think that it's part of something bigger going on.
Well, yeah, it's all about follow the money, and if they're setting fires and stuff, and I don't know, I would feel pretty helpless if there was nothing I could do about it. It just goes back to try to take control of your own life, your own destiny. And there's more and more ways to do that. And I like to touch base, because one thing that happened in my life is my dear friend of 25 years was diagnosed with bipolar, and they started throwing all these medications at her. And unbeknownst to me, I was taking her to the doctor, and I thought I was helping. I truly thought I was helping. And unfortunately, she ended up with cancer, and 6 weeks later she died. And as harsh as that was, it was a huge wake-up call. And if I can help just one person, just one, to help them find an alternative to healing, because I don't think the prescriptions is where it's at. It's a Band-Aid. And I was even talking with my aunt the other day, and they put her on some heart medication, and now she can't even eat leafy greens, or she has to limit that. I mean, come on. That's just so blatant, as far as the money industry goes.
Yeah, and that got me really thinking about it, because so many times these medicines, they end up making it so you can't have things that are really healthy. Whether it's grapefruit or anything that's high in vitamin K, leafy greens, things like that. Curious, very, very curious. But, this is what the powers that be have pushed. And as we've talked about, and I've done a lot more videos that are on our Patreon that are a little bit more blunt, and even can say the V word there, because they're not going up on this venue. But it's the interest that they have, and so these companies that are basically the big C word, taping our mouths shut in so many ways. It's because there's a bigger agenda going on, but two, also they have most definitely tremendous interests in the lobbyists, what they're lobbying for. I mean, the pharmaceutical industry is incredibly powerful, as is the military industrial complex. You look at those two things together, that's so much of what is actually controlling the world.
Yeah, I agree. It's all about the money. Just follow the money. You can learn so much, and it's just nauseating that people that I love, and I thought I was helping, died. And as I look back, all the mistakes that I made, maybe if someone could have gotten to me, shared me with their story, maybe I would have done things differently, looked into things differently. And I can't go back and fix anything. I can only try to help moving forward. It's all about the money. And then another thing that I learned was with the it's generics. And I'd have to go back in and do a little more research. But the bigger companies were getting in trouble for their waste. So they brought in a group of scientists and they asked them, what can we do with this waste? Well, I guess there's some medications that they can actually use that waste, and under FDA rules, certain rules, they can use it to make our generics, which even nauseated me more. So to help people take control of their own lives is my mission. And I do all kinds of stuff. I do a little bit of astrology. I do a little bit of shaman work. I do a little bit of herbology. And I just keep following this spiritual path. And it's been a long road. Believe me, this has not been easy. It was back in 2013 when my friend died. And yeah, so I've just been on a mission since then.
A personal path of transformation as well. And so, because your cousin died, that was really young. We had talked about it as well. And, it's just horrible when somebody was he like 20?
Tristan was 21. He was a baby. He was a little youngin', and he was trying to make the planet a better place by doing organic farming. And he came up with the most rarest cancer, and it just ate him up. It was pretty hard on the family.
It's sad, but that's the truth. Tana says eating meat is the only way to get protein is a lie, and that's definitely true. Depending on what you're looking to do. When you look at it, if you are going to take in dairy and, you could use whey protein, a good organic whey protein, it'll be assimilated so much quicker, most definitely, because every single amino acid's right there. But, there's other complete proteins, too, that you get through vegetarian means, definitely. So it's all up to the individual. We all, do our own thing and, at our own time. And thank you. So Keith says that he tried to go, I guess, vegetarian for 2 years. Didn't work out for him. And it's one of those things where everybody, has to do whatever they want at their own time, whatever they feel guided to. It's just a part of the process, and so things change as well. So jumping back over to the fires, we were looking at, there's video here, actually. It's insane what people are being exposed to. Think about what people are being exposed to in the air, right? We had talked about, obviously, the Georgia Guidestones, and what do you think could be up in the air too with all these things being burned, chemicals, all sorts of things? Who knows what's up in the air right now, and we're all being exposed to over here on the West Coast. You see this over here is the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, so it's showing where certain fires are going on right here. And out of the Weather Channel, as we had talked about, I-80 is closed in the Bay Area, I-5 in Sacramento, evacuation warning in Napa. Not a good situation. More than 200,000 people have been forced out of their homes in Northern California. Residents in part of Napa County were warned to be ready to evacuate. As we said, state of emergency going on right now. Human remains were found in the scorched path behind the tick fire in Santa Clarita. I mean, it's just so sad thinking about, oh my God, that's got to be one of the most horrible ways to go. Being trapped, a dead end, you have no way of getting out. Oh, it's just horrible. It would be a good idea to probably address, what could you do in those circumstances? What should you do if, you can't get out of an area? What could you possibly do to possibly survive? I mean, get down in a basement, cover yourself in wet blankets. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there, but that would be a good thing to share with everyone.
Yeah. Focus on the solution. When we do have a problem, that's the one thing you would do. And Actually, no, I don't know what I would do. Like, well, before when I had the dream, I was telling people to just go get the hoses, don't panic. I think I was, mainly don't panic. But that's definitely a good point to look into. I don't know, Google that. What would you do?
Yeah.
We got really smart people. I know that they'll come up with stuff. You guys are just so amazing and awesome, and I appreciate every single one of you. And if there's anything I can do, and if I help someone's path just a little bit, then I've done my job here.
Most definitely. Yeah. So, I mean, this is really incredible. And I think most of us are in agreement of what we're seeing here. So, obviously, it's a real critical situation going on. I feel so bad for everybody in California. We were talking about, like, Cindy lived in California for many years, and, it's a double-edged sword because, I mean, beautiful natural scenery, great weather, great temperatures, but, arguably the worst government as far as any sort of state government goes.
You can't get ahead there. It's like seems so deliberate to keep people in California. I think my biggest struggle was getting enough money to move out, and thank God I have family and they love me, and I was able to move back to Nevada. It is really, really a double-edged sword because, oh gosh, the weather is perfect. But then I was scraping to make ends meet and looking for every single sale I could find, and the energy. I mean, there is just too many people. So, oh, wow. Thank you so much, Matthew Ferry. It says, you're from the Colorado mountains. Sorry. It will be all snow in the next few days and a -6 this week. That's 35 degrees below average. Yes, Em. Thanks for all you do. No problem, Matthew. I mean, if we can help, like I said, just one person, I'm going to help that one person. And that's my life's mission. That's for my friend. I know that she's probably right here over my shoulder, whispering in my ear, thank you. And I know there's somebody out there I'm going to reach and I'm going to touch.
That's a beautiful thing. And thank you again, Matthew, for your support. Because as we shared with you guys with, all the, well, basically taping people's mouths shut through basically taking away the ability to make decent money and support yourself on the channel. So you have to do whatever you could. And so that's what we've done. And, we're just blessed that we have family to spend time with. And, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Family can be wonderful, and family's not always blood. Family is family, as we are all, we're pretty much everybody in this family, we're in agreement on core values, and that's beautiful. Core values, it's so important because we're here to stick up for each other. We're here to help each other, to believe in each other, and support each other in any way that we can, which is awesome, and so that's great. And I love the lives too, because we just simply, we flow with it, and flowing is awesome. And we're just going to cover, what everybody wants to talk about as we go. And we'll still keep coming back, out there to the main topics that we want to cover as well.
Yeah. My friend Susan, my friend who passed away, one thing that she told me that stuck with me from when I was 16 years old is friends are the family you choose for yourself. And I'm blessed with some really awesome family, but also I've met some really awesome lifelong friends, and I've touched with many of you guys too. And it just seems like, that's the one thing that makes sense. Is friends are the family you choose for yourself. Oh my!
And I'm gonna embarrass Cindy, but so Cindy one year ago was, 1 year ago she was basically 180 pounds, and so now she weighs in between 123 and 125, and this is her doing some barbell curls with an Olympic bar. So just to show you, she's a strong lady there. There's some muscle there, and you make tremendous changes in just 1 year's time. So I think you probably lost in like about 10 months, like 55 pounds, and transformed.
Yeah, that was actually it started. It started with the energy work that you were doing with me, and we started there, and it's like that started to unblock a lot of my own issues in my brain, because I believe we are all chained. We chained ourselves down in our head, and there's something about healing that seems to remove those blocks, and that happened, little by little, and here I am. I'm really strong. I've dealt with a lot of my own issues with PTSD, and I want to help other people, help them too, the way you've helped me. I don't know exactly what to do, but when I'm on here and I'm able to talk to people and give a little bit of advice that what helped me on my journey was ... That's a blessing for me. I couldn't ask for anything more than that, than to be able to make someone's life just a little bit sweeter, just a little bit better.
So I just saw a comment about you need animal proteins to live. Well, you don't. This is Jake Mace, and he's a black belt in multiple disciplines. He's very strong. He's been vegan for over a decade. I think he's been vegan actually since he was young, like 7 or 8 years old. And he could kick well over his head. He's extremely strong, and he's not sickly at all. And so you don't need animal proteins. It's up to you. If you want animal protein, then go ahead. But you don't. And so how many people can do a beautiful kick like that and balance like that? And he's completely vegan, and he's been vegan for, as I said, I want to say he's about 30, 31 since he was like 7. So for like 24 years, he's been vegan, and, most people are not in this type of shape. And that's, just how it is, and that flexible and strong. So it's not the case at all. And there's also I forget the guy's name, but I will find you, because he's been also doing the intermittent fasting. And he's incredibly strong, also a power lifter. This is him right here. Again, how many people in the population are in that level of fitness? And he eats 1 meal a day, and he's vegan. So do we need animal protein? No, we don't. But it's up to each person. It is much more complicated, at first, to get all your nutrients eaten vegan. Obviously, you need B12, but besides that, you could cover everything. And really now there's just a tremendous amount of vegan athletes out there. I was working with this lady who competed in bodybuilding competitions. She was completely vegan, and she became a client of mine. And her body mass and her level of getting cut was just incredible. And she was so incredibly strong, and she was completely vegan, had been vegan for 10 years. So it does. So Helios Pana says the vegan diet doesn't work. That's just completely untrue. It's just completely untrue. But then again, I've noticed a lot of times, yeah, exactly. You could say things, but where's the proof? Exactly. But anyway, moving on.
Yeah, moving on. It's just, we keep finding stuff as I'm on this journey. I keep finding things that I could have done, or I would have shared with my best friend, and I can't do that now, but I can reach, you guys. I really can. I have that opportunity. And I don't want to miss a second, getting on here online and telling you guys what I did on my journey. it's really important that we learn how to try to get out of this system, get out of needing the medicine that the doctors say that we need now. And I think just simply learning a little bit about shamanism, or somehow being your own shaman, look into plant medicine. One thing that I did learn is that when we eat sugar, that will take up the room in our cells, and it makes it difficult for our cells to transfer information. And the sugar is everywhere. It's everywhere. You know, you can't hardly go to a store and pick up a box of anything without seeing high fructose corn syrup. And I think the biggest sin of all was when they started doing this non-fat thing, or low-fat, non-fat. That, I think that created some severe damage. And it has, you know, when it comes to our gut, and since our gut and our brain and our heart, these major organs are attached together, you can see where the sugar would really cause a problem with that circuitry, and how your synapses fires or doesn't fire.
Yeah, you know, when you look at the standard pyramid that we were given, you know, back in the 70s, 80s, 90s even, it was a joke, complete joke. And that, you guys remember how fat was thought to be the enemy, and it really wasn't. Everything has been asked backwards, but what that pyramid did was create a lot of diabetics. You know, it definitely brought a lot of people into insulin sensitivity, and, you know, it was exactly the opposite of what people needed. Jumping back over here, you see California lawmakers have little control over PG&E blackouts. Should they? That's a big question too. You know, it's such a mess when you think about it. I think most of us don't want big government. In fact, I think there's a lot of us that almost don't want any government. That would be a beautiful thing. Can you imagine this world without any government? I was listening to somebody talk. I don't think it was Santos Bonacci. It was somebody else that was talking about when you meet people around the world, if you've done any traveling, there's so many good people. And it's not the majority of the world that wants to have endless wars and fight. We can disagree, and we could agree to disagree on things as well. Can you imagine what we would have if we didn't have these governments? Because these governments, how much good are they really doing? And that's part of why I think we are seeing the uprisings all across the globe that we're seeing. People are coming to that realization that, you know, they are causing more harm than they are doing good. And so here again, like a private company like PG&E, which, okay, it's a private company, but in reality, through the lobbies, the corporations rule the world. You know, country boundaries and borders are really secondary to corporate interests. And, you know, that's what I've come to learn. So, you know, where is that delineation at all? Honestly, it really is a tangled mess. And so this is alertwildfire.org, and I think it hasn't been working because it's all completely overwhelmed with people checking things out. And over here we go, and we see, jumping a little bit off the fires, we see we have, can you believe this? We actually have a Category 5 at this time of year hurricane in the Arabian Sea, or just about a Category 5. And then we have Pablo, a hurricane, and of course we have California facing this hellish Sunday of fire. So spinning west of India, super cyclone storm Kiar rocketed to a high-end Category 4 in strength this weekend, becoming the second strongest tropical cyclone on record in the Arabian Sea, behind only Gonu in 2007. Pretty wild. It winds at 155 miles an hour. You know, I wonder, you know, are all these things just natural occurrences, or are those that say, hey, this is what we get in a grand solar minimum? It's just what happens in a grand solar minimum. Perhaps, but also wondering if it's just also all this is adding to the crop situation. All this is adding up, obviously, in loss of lives. This is also creating more and more refugees around the world. We're seeing all these things, and are the gods angry?
I see Carol says here people need to stop blaming others and take care of themselves. That's like the best advice, is to make sure that your side of the street is clean before you try to go cleaning up other people's stuff. Take your own inventory. And besides, I think it's good to focus on the self and get healthy and get whole. We need to learn to master the self, and this is a journey of self-discovery. And what I've noticed is when I go within and I spend a little bit of time on myself, I'm able to go and help other people like 10 times better than I could have before. So that's a really good point, to just keep yourself in check. And a lot of people have different ideas about eating meat, not eating meat, and that's okay. This journey has been extremely personal for me. I'm just super grateful to at least be on it. That's my thing is gratitude, really.
Yeah, most definitely. And so Harry Emies says, John Lennon, no possessions, no religion, no countries, anarchy, my ideal. And we're taught to think about anarchy as a negative thing. It's just automatically comes to mind, but then that's part of the conditioning as well. And so we automatically think anarchy means a state of lawlessness, and just you think of things like the purge, but it's not really like that. And again, all the planting of ideas by Hollywood, obviously in our minds, always thinking that the worst in people is going to overcome the best in people. But I don't think it's the case with the majority of the populace. I think you're really looking at a smaller number of people that will really be malevolent, for lack of a better term, or opportunistic. There are always going to be the people that will, like, if there was a broken window and rioting, there are going to be people that are just going to go and they're going to grab something. It's sad, but it's true. And I see Osboy's in the house. And Osboy, I know you sent me a message. I tried to reply, but wouldn't let me reply. So we will get in contact. And thank you for joining us as well, my friend. Anarchy is ruled by the people for the people. It's so interesting. Think about this. This is one thing that gets me so riled up all the time. We are sold this whole idea of kingship from on high. Think about our legends, our stories, our myths. I mean, how many movies have we seen about King Arthur and stuff? It's always the king. Hail the king. Hail the king. Well, what about the people? What about the people? What about the masses? And Soul Reviver's in the house, my brother. Good to see you as well. Ruby's in the house. Great to see you as well, brother. All you beautiful people out there. Google David Wilcock, Paradise Fires. Yeah, most definitely. We're all set with wrenches, Earth Aid. Thank you for the offer. I have Cindy right here with a wrench in her hand as well. Michelle D'Oria says, don't eat, you'll be fine. Honestly, it's in this world too, jumping back to that, we are living in such a toxic world. You have to look at basically the fact that we need to be detoxing every single day. We need to. I mean, that's going to be even almost more important than rebuilding is just getting rid of all the toxins. They're everywhere you look. As I told you guys, we're just randomly testing all different bottled waters and looking for fluoride and things like that. It's just so sad. Elena says, I only eat beer. Oh, wow. And how are things in Mexico, Elena? Because I know some of our other family members have mentioned to me too about such toxicity, like in the Mexico City area, with the air, tons of chemtrailing. Are we supposed to say that word? Geoengineering, spraying. It's incredible what we see all over the place. And talk about transformations. Veronica Bartolini is somebody that's transforming tremendously. So I want to give her a big thumbs up. She has overcome a ton of diversity in her life. And she's hitting it hard. She's hitting the gym, and she's doing wonderful things with herself. So, much respect to you, Veronica, and glad to see you here as well. And Rue takes a detox bath weekly. Awesome. It's definitely something we should do. Tijuana's burning like California. So there's a lot of wildfires going on in Mexico as well.
There is. And, as far as detoxing goes, I think I started with really super simple, just a little lemon in my water every morning. And then I got some aluminum free baking soda because I found out that they put aluminum in our baking soda. So I went online and I found that aluminum free baking soda, and I started adding a little bit of baking soda to my lemon in the morning. And then I started adding a little bit of cayenne pepper, and wow, in the morning that packs a little bit of a punch. But that's how I started my journey with detoxing. So, I mean, that's something that you could do today, even if it's just lemon, just a little bit, and just start there. Just, I think the journey of 1,000 steps starts with just that one step. I'm not sure if I said that right, but I think you guys are smart enough to totally understand what I'm saying. You got to start somewhere, but the most important thing is just to start.
Most definitely, and take control of our lives. So coming over here now, we see there is a state of calamity declared in the Philippines. So state of emergency in California, state of calamity. I've never heard of that one. But this is because of that big 6.3 quake that was on October 16th. And you had 700 aftershocks recorded through October 22nd. At least 7 people killed, 215 injured, 25,000 affected. 2,065 houses damaged, 482 destroyed. Heavy damage to a number of infrastructures and properties. It was another big one, and there's obviously going to be more coming. 6.3, you get 6s every week, or at least you should. So this is going to raise a few eyebrows. We've seen an awful lot of asteroids, a lot of fireballs coming in, and you got 3 new asteroids detected within 1 lunar distance. Boom, 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 just like that. And these all flew past the Earth within 1 lunar distance on the 19th, 23rd, and 25th, respectively. So, yeah, I mean, again, that brings up the thoughts, what is near us? What is it? Nibiru, Planet X, Nemesis system, that type of thing. And, there's a lot of believers in Nibiru, and then there's a lot of people that think it's basically disinfo as well. And so we see a rare explosion. This is in Mexico. No known Holocene eruptions of this volcano. So a lot of the ones that have been quiet for a long time, they're starting to wake up. They're starting to wake up. Extreme blizzard conditions strike Iceland. Well, you would expect it in Iceland. We see century-old snow records forecast to fall in western and central U.S. next week. 10 inches of snow in Denver, Colorado. And, Colorado, that's one of the states I haven't been to yet. And so it's on my list. And it's got a lot going for it. And obviously there's a lot of people that have moved there that are preppers and all. My whole question was, is it going to be too cold, in much of Colorado, if, we are going to hit the type of grand solar minimum that many believe? Is it going to be too cold to make it sustainable? Rare October snowstorm buries the Texas Panhandle. Thunder snow captured on video. And again, I'll have the links for you guys. And can we trust any sort of measurements? This is how Electroverse. Electroverse is a grand solar minimum channel, and they are totally steered in that direction. And watching the way this total Arctic ice volume is going is most definitely... it's really curious. I mean, it's extremely curious. So what are we looking at here? And because it's really starting to divert way off of the running average, as you see from 2004 to 2013, way off. And it looks like it's about to head just straight over here. So what's going on? If this is a real reading, then I would be looking for more king tide flooding, things like that, coastal flooding, erosion. You got to wonder what's going on with that. Is that real? Because we do question everything now. We just question everything. Mm-hmm. So James Manfield says no one is safe.
Oh, um, Osboy, God bless you, brother. Thank you so much. That really means a lot, especially as much as they're suppressing the channel. And we really have to watch our vocabulary words. And I guess that's partly why I like to go on live with you guys. Um, Peace and love to everyone. Osboy, thank you. You know, all of you guys are awesome because I'm looking in the chat and I'm seeing you guys exchange information with each other about, you know, what you do to detox and maybe what to put in the bathtub. And this is what it's all about. It's all about pulling everyone together, because even though we do need to go within and take care of the self, it's also good to, if you have information that you know could help other people, please throw it in there, because we do read through the comments. And, you know, I learned so much from you guys. I think, you know, besides the things that I've studied, you guys are by far my best teachers. And I so appreciate every single one of you. I'm just so grateful. You guys are so wonderful. Yeah, we are, Junior Arizona Patriot. We are family. And friends are the family you choose for yourself. And it's just such a beautiful thing the way you guys are sharing. And, you know, as much as I'm scared of 5G, I'm super grateful for like technology so that we can do this. We can gather around and throw ideas off of one another. It's just a beautiful thing.
It is, and it's so wonderful to have this family together. You know, when we were talking about people coming in and trying to disrupt the chat room, I really think that a lot of those people are under the employ of some of the, you know, some of these very corporations that we're talking about that are taping our lips shut. So I do think some of these people are actually getting paid to come in and to try to disrupt things. It's I think, you know, obviously some of them are just people that are kind of very unhappy with themselves, and so they just want to stir the pot and make everybody else unhappy too. But then also, you know, there are bots out there that you know do this. I mean, so much of the time when you see somebody that comes in makes real negative comments, you go click on it and you look at their YouTube channel, there's absolutely nothing there. And it's a YouTube channel that was just recently basically created. So I think a lot of that is a program, you know, and recognize just how powerful the computers are nowadays. They're super powerful. You know, the computer that Google has, it was just stated, it just finished a problem in like 200 seconds that would have took 10,000 years to figure out. So, and you know, we're not even seeing the half of what is really there as well. So yes, James Manfield, the more resistance we encounter, the closer we are to the truth. That is so true.
New level, new devil. That's what I've always been told. And I do believe that once you're just about to make a breakthrough, it does seem like the world starts to kind of fall on top of you and try to slow you down. And that's where the going within really counts. To, you know, learn who you are. What are you about? I know one thing that has been super helpful for me is learning astrology, and I do Vedic astrology just a little bit, but it's about getting closer to God or source, or call it what you will. You learn about yourself to get closer to source, and that's what I like to do. One of the things I like to do, and the other things are, you know, shamanism and herbs and all of that stuff. And then when you get healthier and stronger, oh my gosh, can you ever reach out and help other people?
Most definitely. And as Brenda says, it's all about love, you know, and love is full of compassion as well, and it's full of forgiveness as well. So you see here, powerful winter dust storms may have triggered the Akkadian Empire to downfall. And, you know, the Sumerians, the Akkadians, interesting. And in my head, I wonder is this where basically everything started as far as the whole system, the Babylonian system that we're living in, the, apparent Anunnaki system that we're living in when we talk about kingship coming from on high and everything. Although I gotta say, there's something that in my mind, I just think there's something twisted about all the Anunnaki stories and all. I think that really what happens is the powers that be, again, they always twist things just enough so we can't get a perfectly clear picture of what's really going on here. But, how many times have we had civilizations downfall? Have we had empires downfall? And, in my mind, there should never be an empire. That's just the way I view it. I view it that, the people should be able to live peacefully amongst themselves. And I really do think the majority of the population would support that. I think that we've been kind of tricked and manipulated and maneuvered into constantly interfighting with each other. And I think that's exactly, it's divide and conquer. It's clear divide and conquer. You guys familiar with Machiavelli and the book that he wrote The Prince, which is all about political maneuvering. And so you have three parties, Mr. Smith, Mr. Jones, and Mr. White, we'll just say. And, Mr. Smith really wants to take over the properties of the other two. So what does he do? He plants the seeds so they'll fight each other. And then when they kill each other, he'll come in and take it all over. And that's kind of like what we have going on. And it's been going on.
It has. And, as far as the need or want or desire for a leader, I look at some of the leaders and my gosh, they cannot pull their moral strings together, and they're telling us what to do. And not only that, we vote them into office, which personally I don't vote. That's my personal choice. But I have a really hard time with putting sick people in office. They might start out good, they might look good to start, but it seems like something happens when they're in there and they change. Pretty soon it does become about the money. So to me, the whole system is broken, and that's where, and I don't think we need leaders. If you look at a tribe, every one person, all they need to do is their best. And then there's these Ubuntu communities where people actually donate their time and do what they provide their best talent. And, in doing so, they only work like 3 or 4 hours a week or something. And oh my gosh. Susan Donahue, thank you for your great work. We are traveling and letting winds calm, situation stabilize before we return to San Francisco. Thank you so much, Susan Donahue. Thanks, you guys. It's just wonderful when you help like this. And, I'll keep going back again and again to friends are the family you choose for yourself. And this is all about the oneness. And we don't need a leader. We just need to do our personal best. If you can do your personal best, really, why do you need someone to tell you what to do at that point?
You just got me thinking about what some people are already doing out there. And so I have friends, very, very good friends, that have done this. And so here you see worldwide opportunities on organic farms. There's this type of thing that exists all around the world. And so there are people that are traveling around the world. And so for room and board, they'll go work on, say, an organic farm and find a lot of beautiful people that are totally the type of people that are in the chat room right now, bringing people to a more sustainable way of life. And it's an amazing way you could actually travel the world very cheaply, spend time in a country learning how people live somewhere else. I have a friend that was doing this over in Thailand and then Costa Rica, another one in, I think it was Bulgaria. But these opportunities are all around the globe, and it's pretty cool. You can come up with things to do. You see this work exchange volunteer, live and learn on organic farms. There really is a lot of opportunities like this. And I do have a friend also, and she might be listening now, that's been living in Costa Rica for 11 years. And she's been living rent free because, she lives basically at a house that is run by a very wealthy man, but he's almost never there. He owns it. He's almost never there. So she's extremely trustworthy. So it's worth it for him to allow her to live there rent free, and she does. And so she's able to live on her retirement, easily. And at the same time, she's in a place that she loves, in a beautiful area where the weather is pretty much between 70 and maybe 84, 12 months of the year, 365 days. Amazing, So it's very cool. There are so many things that will develop and that are being developed, which is pretty cool.
It is, and it's the technology that I think the shamans have known forever and ever and ever. It's not really new technology when it comes to plant medicine and how to behave when you're around other people. You just, you do your own personal best, and I don't see where too many things can go wrong using that concept. But yeah, I mean, the shamans, they know like what the plant medicines are. They know so many things about the earth. And what's really sad, I went to Monument Valley, and I was listening to one of the elders, and he told me that the shamans would go to the monuments, the big stones, and they would give offerings because they were more like live beings is what they were. And what's really sad is he says every year it's dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. And now, as far as he can tell, there's like maybe 2 shamans left. And that was from like, I don't know, in the past 30 years, they had maybe a half a dozen. And I think now there's like 2 living. So.
And so, I see some really good discussions going on. And I just wanted to share you guys this too. Do you realize the percentage of federal land that's out there where the federal government, and again, when we really get down to it, who is the federal government? It's not you and I. It's supposed to be. I mean, because it's supposed to be representative of the people for the people. But this is really owned by the corporations, by the lobbies, when you get down to it. Look at the percentages of who owns, each of these states. This is incredible. Why in the world would the federal government, I mean, they're going to say, well, it's conservation. We want to make sure. Yeah, sure. No, it's resources. It's resources, and perhaps there's other things going on as well, because, he who writes the script knows what's coming. And when you see this, California, 45.3% of California is owned by the federal government. Oregon, 53.1%. Washington, 30.3%. Idaho, 50%. And Nevada, a whopping 84.5%. Arizona, 48.1%. New Mexico, 41.8%. Colorado, 36.6%. Utah, 57.4%. Wyoming, 42.3%. So really, when you get down to it, the West is owned by the federal government. So what's up with that, guys? What do you think is going on there? Is it really just about preserving natural resources? Is it about something else entirely? What is really going on there? There's something to this. It tells me there's something else really big going on behind the scenes. And when we traveled across country, coming from North Carolina, we went across most of Texas and came up through New Mexico and Arizona and, up into Nevada. There's so much mining and there's so much natural resources. And then also when we think about all those top secret military bases that lie underground, they're over in Ridgecrest. They're all through here, Area 51, Area 6. The Nevada test site's enormous. It's actually, I think it was, 2/3 the size of Delaware. That's huge. And then, obviously there have been reports of them in the Four Corners area, New Mexico, right? We have the Taos Hum, and you know what? I think it's what's going on. The bases underneath the ground is why the earth is humming there. And Dulce, we had the whole Battle of Dulce. Do you guys remember that? Philip Schneider talked about that when he was still around. It's, there's something else going on here. And when I saw Sedona, in some of those formations and felt that vibration and that energy, um, it really is special. There's something about Sedona, but I don't think it's just limited to Sedona. I think, as we shared in gosh, what's the name of that? But over by Ridgecrest, the Panamint Mountains, and the legend there, where these two miners, basically fell through and saw a city underneath that was loaded with Egyptian and Tibetan artifacts. What's up with that? And of course, now that whole area is part of China Lake, again. So what's up with that again? There's something much bigger going on underfoot.
Oh, for sure. And I think there's the elites know why the Native Americans are such a threat, because they know things. They know how to manipulate the elements. They know the land is alive. She's breathing, and they know that it's not a nice thing to do to just, put pavement on your mother's face. And that's what we've done. I'm not blaming anyone, but I'm just saying I think they did a number on the Native Americans because they did know how to control their land, and they did know other things like with shamanism and all of that good stuff. So in their energy, they knew what to do with their energy and what to do with the emotions. All of these things work together to heal. I know we're all healers. We can each heal ourselves, and God forbid that get out. I mean, as far as being able to heal yourself, because that's going to take the money away from the elites.
Yeah, definitely. I know a lot of you guys are subscribed to the second channel, EE Arts, as well. Did a video there today about breaking the chains of the system and restoring our souls. And again, I encourage you all to come and join us over there as well. It's a little bit more going into spiritual beliefs in a little bit more depth compared to the first channel. So that's what we're doing over there. And Rue told me about this today. Samsung space selfie. Satellite crashes onto a Michigan property. A woman says she heard something crash onto her property in Saginaw and Gratiot County line by 8:45 this morning. And this is what she found, a satellite. Pretty wild. It's a Samsung satellite. So what do you make of that? That's pretty wild. I think it was Dabu that was covering this. So, yep, we got stuff falling out of the sky all around us. So here's something, guys, and I didn't test this, so I don't know if this is right or not, if it's real. Apparently it's supposed to be. This is from Urban Survival. Here's how to hide your house from Google Maps. So there is a way to do it, supposedly. Very easy way. You go to Google Maps, type in your address, click on the picture of your house, look at the bottom right corner of the screen, and click Report a Problem. Drag the picture and zoom in or out until your house is inside the red box. Under Request Blurring section, My Home. Type in your email address, click the button verifying that you're not a bot, and submit. Wait a few days and check again to see if your house has been blurred. You could use the same form to blur out a face or a license plate. Although Google Street View is supposed to blur out these things automatically, it misses quite a few times. But keep in mind that once Google blurs something out, it's permanent. There's no reversing it. So if you later try to sell your house, people might complain about it being blurred out on Street View. So I don't know if you guys ever heard of that before, but I wanted to just share it with you if you guys felt like the urge to do it.
Yeah, that's pretty curious. It's very curious. And, I'm seeing some people in here just make awesome comments. I learned so much from you guys. You're great. Some of the movies like The Truman Show. I mean, I get a lot of inspiration from you guys, and we do want to hear from you because we do sit and read the emails together in the morning and work on putting the show together. So, it's just all about you guys. We want to help make your life better or do things that interest you. It's all about you guys. So if there's something that you really want covered, or if you guys have ideas, do please email, give us, shoot us an email, and we'll look into it, and anything we can do to help too.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate it always. And in case you guys didn't know, it's Diwali, which is the festival of lights in Hinduism. And of course, there's other festival of lights in other cultures as well. So it's the biggest event of the year in Hindu communities all over the world. For a practicing yogi, it's time of intense meditation, reflection on core values. And it's a 5-day festival that is starting today. So I just wanted to share that with you guys as well. And again, invite anybody that feels so inclined to join us on Patreon as well. And so for just $1 a month, you could basically get access to some videos that won't be up on YouTube, and also just basically help the channel stay afloat and keep doing what we do. So I want to thank you guys for your support over there as well.
Yeah, we do. We appreciate it a lot. It really helps keep everything going. And like I said, I really appreciate you guys. I'm really super grateful to be here and interact with you. And, hopefully I've said something that touched one of you, and at least maybe helped you make your life a little bit better, because that's why I'm here. That keeps me going. It's really important to me to help people. I've always kind of been that way. Sorry, to a fault. I get in trouble because I try to do too much, but I realize that this is my purpose. I am supposed to help people, and that's what I do. And I'm just really grateful to have an opportunity to be able to do that.
And thank you guys so much for your beautiful comments as well, and much love to all you guys. So I want to thank you all for joining us for another live show, and we'll see you guys again pretty soon. Thank you for your support as always on both channels, Patreon as well. So stay safe, stay prepared out there. And as always, God bless and namaste.
Namaste. Thanks.